Hi guys, welcome back to Beach and Fishing. Paul here with you again today. Beach and Fishing is my site aimed at fishing. I'm an avid fisherman, love fishing, so I just like to write about what I know, what I try out, what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and then get the opinions of everyone else, because when it comes to fishing, one thing I always say in my videos, one thing I love about it is everyone has an opinion. So today I'm going to talk about my 3 best baitcaster reels for kayak fishing. Baitcaster reels are something that I freely admit not having a lot of experience with in the past, and I've only really just started playing with them now. But it come about for us through a species of fish we chase, and we're just trying to get a little bit better at it. Chasing mangrove jack on a kayak is a lot of fun, but they're not easy to catch. Well, I haven't found them easy to catch, I will say. I've seen kids down there standing on the side of the water with a little rod and a little bait, a little spinner reel, and they've caught them, so maybe it's just me. But there's reasons that we're trying to bait caster on them, mainly for the fact that they're a little bit more accurate. We can cast them a little bit more accurately, and we can really adjust the drag down so we can get a hold of that fish quite quickly and stop it from taking us back into the structure of the mangroves, and then we get snapped off because we get tangled up in the mangroves. That's why we're using them. So baitcaster reels, as opposed to spinning reels that I've traditionally used, I've always been more of a spinning reel advocate. Use them for just about everything except for one of the surf reels I have. But as I keep saying, this is something that I'm been playing with a bit more now. So for those of you who are looking to get into baitcaster reels on your kayaks, I've had a look, and there's 3 that I think meet the criteria of what would make a good baitcaster for a kayak. For those of you who haven't seen them much before, as I say, this is what they look like. They sit on top of the rod. So this is the casting rod that goes with it. It sits there, the reel sits on top there, and you spin them out that way. They're very good for one-handed fishing, which makes them quite good, again, for a kayak. They're generally light. This is small and light, and it can take a lot of good line strength, and that's another advantage of having them on a kayak. If you want something where you're chasing a larger species, or you really want to stack up your braid but still keep it on a lighter reel, these are what work quite well. So the advantages of them is that they're generally longer casting, more accurately casting, and the reason for that is because the line comes out the front, it comes out straight rather than a spinning wheel which spools out once the bail is lifted. They, as I said, can hold a lot stronger line, and the drag is a lot more sensitive, so you can really knuckle this drag down and really get it quite, really set it to what you need. The disadvantages of baitcasters is that they tangle. Now, there's a lot of things that we can do to stop that, which I'll discuss in a second, but you tend to need a bit more experience with them. There's a lot more to set than just basically the set and forget spinning reels where you just cast them out, play with your drag on the front there. But with these, there's a little bit more to do with them. But as I said, they're quite good for what we use it for. Longer casting, more accurate casting, can handle bigger fish and heavier weights for the size of the rod and reel generally. So they're a bit more compact, but can handle a lot more. So that's what you're at there. Now, as far as grabbing one for a kayak, this one is sort of it's the lower end of the range as price wise, but as with all things fishing, doesn't necessarily mean that that they're no good. This one's quite fun. It's not mine, actually. I borrowed it from a friend of mine. I need to go and purchase one of my own, but this one's quite fun. Now, how they work is that you simply just drop that down at the back, and once you do that, you cast it. Obviously, the line weight or the lure weight will pull the line out, and it spools straight out off that spool through that little feeder there out into the big wide world of water. Now, the biggest problem that most people have with baitcasters is that they do tend to tangle and bird's nest. That is because if you've got quite a heavy lure on there, as you pull that out, the spool starts to wind, and sometimes it gets ahead of itself and winds out faster than what the line can go out, which just makes it go. And if you've got braid on there, especially, braid is almost impossible to untangle. You just need to cut it and start again. How these reels account for that is in the old days you used to use your thumb, and I was watching a guy down at the beach the other day, and he just used his thumb, and he could cast this thing on. He was using one for the surf, and he could cast it a mile, much further than I can cast anything on a spinner reel or the old LB. But what they've done now is they've got magnets on the side here, brakes on the side here that are run by magnets. There's generally, anywhere between 2 and 10 magnets inside the reel. And as you set this, what it does is the magnets actually slow the spool down. So as the spool starts to speed up, the magnets there will slow it down, stop it from overspinning, stop it from tangling. There's a bit more to it than that, but in general, at the level that we use them at on the kayaks, and for if you're a beginner at it, that's how the brakes work. And you can play with that. You can make it lighter, which means you can really wind it up and cast further, and then you control it with your thumb, or just if the reel's good enough, you can handle it. If you're getting bird's nest constantly, or you're really trying to put some weight on it, then you'll turn it up, which means the magnets will click in quite fast. It will slow the spool down, so you'll lose casting distance, but you won't tangle. The other side of the fence with these is as they spool, the spool goes out. Once the weight hits the water, obviously you don't want to spool out anymore. So that's this setting here. This little thing on the side here will help you set a setting that will slow the spool or stop the spool as soon as it hits the water. So they're the things that you play with, and you get a bit more used to them as you cast. The drag is on the side here, and you'll just turn that back and forth for your drag as you work, and that will determine the drag on the reel. The higher quality ones have also what we call centrifugal brakes inside, and they're internal, and they work on gravity. So as the spool starts to spin, the magnets inside will pop out and slow the reel down that way. They're more automatic than what this one is, and again, you can do the settings on that to make them come out a little or a lot, and high and low there. So there's playing around with them, but as I say, I've seen guys, and once they've got them set, they can drop them on a dime. They're really worth it. And as you notice, if you've ever been on deep sea fishing adventure, or you go deep sea fishing a little bit, they always use overhead reels because, again, they're just better designed for handling a lot bigger fish, because, again, they can put a big spool, a big heavy line on a light spool. Bait, these will do it as well. I've been on deep fishing expeditions where we've used the egg beaters. They're just a different type, but that's what these are designed for. The stronger line, heavier fish, better drag, but also with more accurate casting and the like as well. Other things for these is that the ratios tend to be the same. This is, I can't really read, they haven't got my glasses on, 5.2 to 1. This has got 5 ball bearings in it. Excuse me. The one thing to be aware of with this, though, as opposed to these spinning reels have a size on them that generally come with. This is 6,500, 65, some of them say, or some people just say a 6. Now the 6 goes fairly loosely to determine what size of line you put on this. So I would put this 6,500. I would put, if I was just putting mono on this, anywhere between 4 to 8 pounds. Mono, this is a 15-pound braid on here. So a 6 can handle, 10 to 15 braid. 15 is probably the high end of what you'd probably want to put on here. This here has a thing on the back. It's got 10/180, 12/130, and 15/110. So for mono, 10 pound, you could put around 180 foot of line. 15 pound, 110. So what are we? 10, 12, 130 foot, and 15 is 110 foot. So that's how much line it would go on. Braid is a lot higher. So it doesn't say it on here, but if it's 10 pound of mono, you'd probably be looking at about 20 to 30 pound of braid. And the yardage it's yards, not foot. That's how many yards of line you can put on there. Sorry, we work in meters and centimeters down here, so I get confused with that sometimes. But that's 110 yards of line you could put on there. Braid, and we'll have a look at when we look at the my recommendations, that some of them stipulate that, but that would be what you're looking at. Get online and just do it. If you do a search for comparison of 100 if you type in 10/180 braid comparison, it'll tell you what you can put on there anyway. That's your Baitcaster. So let's have a look at the options I've got. If you go through the post here, it gives you a bit more information on your braids and your tension, spool adjustments and all that, spool size. Now the ones I've come up with is basically just looking at something that's good on a kayak. Fairly a few different price ranges here, but for something that you'd be looking to sit well on a kayak, nice and light, nice and small, but still strong. First one's a Pisca Fun Torrent bait casting reel. Its spool size, if you're running 10-pound mono, it'll run 120 to up to 195 yards. Or braid, you can see there what I was talking about before. So 10-pound of mono, 30-pound of braid on the same line. So there's a big difference with braid on a bait caster. 120 yards to 145 yards, so slightly around the same yardage, but really much stronger in the amount of poundage you can put on your braid. 5-in-1 stainless steel bearings, 5.3 to 1 to 7.1.1, aluminium 4-drag washer, magnetic, 5 magnets on there. That's another thing that they often look at, is the number of magnets that go into the side of the reel. Very lightweight, line double winding shafts, so that's the shafts that are inside that the thing winds out on. A lubrication port, mine doesn't have one, but a lot of them have lubrication ports where you can put some oil in there and keep it nice, running light. And left and right hand options available. I'll talk about that in a second. Second one, Spark Pro bait casting reel. It's a bit more expensive. I can't get the little thing to show there. I don't know why that is. A website issue there. But it's 7-pound, 109 yards, and there's a couple more there. It didn't stipulate that, but you'd be able to go up a little bit higher on that. 11+1 bearings, slight different ratios. Aluminium with aircraft grade aluminium main gear. 8 magnets and a carbon fibre star drag up to 16-pound. It's only about 7 ounces. Ultra lightweight. Carbon handle EVA knobs. Left and right available as well. That one is a really good one for kayak fishing. And finally, the Shimano Tranks. For those of you who want the well-known brand or want to pay a bit more and get some good quality, this one is, from what I could find with the good reviews, this is the cream of the crop. And as you can see, 40-pound, 50-pound, and 65-pound, as opposed to 12, 14, and 17 for mono. But that's some high-end braid on there. And again, nice and light. So you've got the advantage of having high-end braid, heavy braid that you can catch some heavy fish on, still on nice light reel. Rigid aluminium and magnesium, cross-star drag up to 22-pound, and variable brake, and it's got the centrifugal force in there as well. So that's what I'm saying before. It's really going to help you not get your catches there. Oversized gears for large baits and lures. Cranking power, left and right hand options, but as I say, a little bit more expensive there. So that's my 3 reel options there. Just the one last thing about left and right-handed, you buy these as left and right-handed. With a spinning reel, you can take that screw off there, pull the handle out and go around the other side, so they're interchangeable. Baitcaster reels are not. So you buy it left or right-handed and you go from there. Do not buy one thinking you can change it around, because you cannot. So that's how that works there. That's it, guys. That's my 3 Baitcaster reel recommendations for a kayak. Something that's nice and light, something that's got a good ratio. I mean, most of them have that these days. Again, the brakes are the critical option here. Go for something with more magnets if you can, or better settings. Centrifugal if you can find it. They are more expensive, as you saw with the Shimano. That's all. If you're watching this within YouTube, please like and subscribe to my channel below. That way I can keep you up to date with everything that I find. I'm about to start releasing a whole lot of actual videos rather than me sitting in my little office here with all my fishing equipment around me. Actually get out in the big, bad, wide world and start videoing myself doing some actual fishing, so I can show you that what I talk about, I actually go from experience, whether it's right, wrong, or otherwise. If you're watching this within the post and you have any questions about bait casters or spinning reels, any comments, If you have a difference of opinion, I'd love to hear from you. I know I say this in every video, but I love about fishing. Everyone has a different opinion. Different things work for different people. Comment below. Would love to hear from you. Or if you have any questions in general, let me know. Thanks, guys. Happy fishing. Chat to you soon. Bye.